Attorney Jerome Pay. Live TV talk on your digital device on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Download the SVP TV app right now. Check us out every Tuesday on Comcast Cable, Channel 17, 8:30 p.m. And we are live every Friday on Facebook Live, 6 o'clock in the evening. You've got a question? Our attorneys have the answer. So let's talk law with Attorney Daryl O'Neill on the SVP TV network.
Welcome to Talking Law with Daryl O'Neill. I'm your host. I got my main man, Jerome, with me.
What's up, Daryl?
Hey, man, I'm looking forward to next week.
I cannot.
Next week, we're going to have a special show. We're going to have, we're going to have two main guests.
That's right.
We're going to have General Sessions Judge Deborah Henderson.
That's right.
She's got some housing programs that General Sessions has implemented. And you're going to talk about a little bit about that today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then we're going to have Cedric Harris.
Yeah, Bruce Cedric Harris.
Yeah, Bruce Cedric Harris, who is also Memphis area legal, and he's working in the housing resource center.
That's
so
right.
just a plethora of knowledge that we're going to try to kick to everybody. And in fact, next week that show is going to be an hour show.
Okay, good.
So we can make sure that we can get that information out.
I think that's very good, Daryl. Also, you're going to have the housing inspector.
Housing, yeah. So we're going to have three guests.
Yes,
yeah.
That's who it is,
Yeah.
the housing inspector. And so,
hold on a second. Let's get it.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah. All right, so.
I wasn't here last week, so.
Oh, I wouldn't either.
Okay, I'm going to say, so I'm ready to go.
So we got to give our shout outs.
Okay.
Shout out to the far west coast of California. Shout out to Little Rock, Arkansas. Shout out to West Memphis, Arkansas. Shout out to Memphis, Shelby County. Shout out to Mississippi. Shout out to great state of Missouri. Shout out to my family. And shout out to Jerome's family.
All right, there we're back. We were out vacationing, but we're back now. So, yeah.
Yes.
Hey,
family. Yeah, I always give a shout out to my wife too. Got to make sure, because I was giving half shout outs,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, you got to always make sure we give out the right shout outs.
Cool. Yeah.
So General Sessions, and we're going to hear this. I don't want to call a judge a horse, but we're going to hear this from the horse's mouth next week. Judge, before the show started, I called you a horse. No, but we're going to hear it directly from the judge, who basically, her job down there in General Sessions, I mean, she sees just everything.
Yes.
And then, she'll make people understand
Yes.
that if you watch Judge Judy, you watch Joe Brown and all those other places, the People's Court and all that stuff,
Right.
that is not General Sessions.
That's exactly
And
right.
so it'll give you some understanding, but also give you some understanding on some rules, and if you're in general, housing rules and housing protections, evictions, things of that nature. So we hope to really talk about a lot of that next week.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And you know what? And that's and people who put themselves out to run for office are really what we call public servants.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're there to do the people's business.
Right.
And there you got to admire a person who sits on the bench and see a problem, see it mounting, and make up their mind. It's not her job to do that, but she made up her mind. Something has to change.
Mm-hmm.
That's how change comes about.
Well, so one day, it's kind of, and I guess this is ha funny. So one day I had a client call me and said, I got a case in General Sessions Court. I said, all right. He says, can you come? He said, I'll come by and sign in. And then he says, what time do I need to be there? I said, 10 o'clock. He said, no, the letter I got says I need to be there at 9.
Right.
I said, man, General Sessions don't start until 10 o'clock. There's no 9 o'clock court.
Right.
He said, well, I said, bring your document over and let me. I'm not arguing with the guy, but I'm a little weirded out.
You were adamant that there is no 9 o'clock docket. I got it too.
I was weirded out.
Yeah.
So he comes in It brings me the document, and it says 9 o'clock. And I said, wow, 9 o'clock. I said, I want to go down there because I've never heard of a 9 o'clock docket. So I want to go down there and figure what's going on. So I get down there, and it is court, but it was only in Division 4.
Right. Wow.
And so what was going on is Judge Henderson, I don't know if she was the catalyst for this program or started this program, but they used to do what they call mediation, pro bono mediation in General Sessions Court. And if you were a pro se litigant, the court door opened for you at 9 o'clock to give you an opportunity to see if you and the opposing party could work it out through mediation. They provided licensed mediators that would be there, and those licensed mediators will basically, hear both sides of the parties, make recommendations, and then a lot of times they would work out a deal. And they did it all pro bono.
That's right. And again, I just cannot keep from putting some praises on a public servant who realizes that I'm more than just a person sitting up here, stone-faced, unmoved by what I see. Daryl, as you know, we talk about it all the time too. The General Sessions is probably the first place, other than traffic court, where a person would run into the justice system. Would you agree with that?
Substantially agree with that. And they will run into the. It is a substantial scenario in General Sessions. And look, we talk about this all the time. One of the things we talk about General Sessions Court is that the judges are normally, when you stand up, they normally start asking you certain things.
That's right.
And we tell you to ask for continuances.
That's right.
Say that you don't agree and ask, can you get the different additional evidence to double check to make sure in fact that debt is owed by you.
Exactly.
But what happens though, Jerome, and I understand it and I feel it.
Yeah.
When you're in Judge Betty Thomas Moore's courtroom, right? Every time the court door is open, this is what she says. If you got a case in front of my court today, and I call your name, I need you to stand up, say your name when your case is called. Stand up and say your name when the case is called. She says that in every case. And people stand up, and then they just look at her. And I always wonder if they just didn't hear, they weren't listening, or they just got awed.
Well, Darryl, think about it too. Think about it. A courtroom is a different scenario for most people. And in fact, I see it now many times, even in bankruptcy court. Bankruptcy court is just kind of laid back, so to speak. But people are so nervous about being in court, period. The idea that I got to face this court situation just absolutely sends me into a frenzy. Okay?
Right.
And so we hear, but we don't hear. And so, some of the judges got in trouble for that recently too, about not taking the time. And I can understand, you got 150 cases that you're trying to run through, not taking it, especially during the COVID time when there was an opportunity to get funding. Some of the judges were going into detail about the funding for your rent.
Exactly.
Others did not do a pretty good job about it. So they got kind of called out with ProPublica. That was one of the things that I had an article in ProPublica. And so this person is in court. They hear their name, and when their name is called, they stand up, but they freeze. What do I do next? That's why we don't recommend you try and represent yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you got to be dispassionate. And so that's where we come in at, to support a person who is in the court system in a whole different. It's kind of like trying to go to surgery. If you and I were to go into surgery, we'd be the same way, wouldn't we? Pass me. We might know a scalpel. With an extractor to open the chest up wall and stuff like this. So those people, when they come in the courtroom, they really have no idea what the rules are.
Right.
And you and I know, you and I, Darren, know, we know it's like a dance. You know, it's like taking your fiance or your partner to the dance. We know what the rules are. We know when the music starts playing. You follow me? It's like line dancing for us. Okay. So that person comes in the courtroom, and the judge seems like a big ogre sitting behind that thing, and that's why they got him elevated. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they got this black robe on.
Right.
And Benny Thomas Moore, she wears like sometimes she wears like the African American colors and stuff. But that person is just kind of in a whole different world. So I can kind of understand it that they don't quite respond. But the most important thing.
But you got. But look, Jerome.
And there, you know, I'm always gonna try your personality. That's just my personality.
Yeah, right. But
Personality.
but the thing about this is this. Some of that is a flaw that we have in society, Jerome.
No question.
And it's got, in my mind, and maybe I'm wrong.
Man, no, you said a mouthful.
Yeah, and you know, we always have a tendency of wanting to talk, but we hate to listen. And when you're in General Sessions Court, for the first time, again, you just have to listen.
That's true.
And I've been in there where the judge is trying to say something to somebody, and they already have this preconceived thought process they don't hear. For instance, Jerome, if the property manager says to you, you owe $3,000, $5,000 in back rent, and the property manager says to you, Your Honor, we don't want any money. We just want possession only.
Right.
And then they'll ask the person, they only want possession only. Do you agree? Well, you know, he won't fix this, and he won't fix. You $5,000 behind.
Let me just say this too, Daryl. Now, that could also be a ploy to say that we just want possession only, because the landlord can always come back and get a money judgment later on.
Potentially.
Yeah.
But the problem is they got to fine you. It's a lot easier to fine you under the first round.
That makes sense.
And so that's the reason why I tell
that
people,
makes sense.
because you can't hide this first time.
That makes sense.
They served you at your apartment.
Right. Or they
And
posted
you,
it.
well, if they posted it, you ain't got to show up and they're going to get possession.
But you don't know that. You see what I'm saying? You don't know that. That's why you have to have.
Pick the phone up, man. You can call prepaid. You can call anybody on that stuff, man.
First of all, Darren, America has not done a good job in Republican states. Now, you don't want to say that.
No, I don't. They ain't done a good job, period. I don't know about no Republican or Democrat state, but.
It's a Republican state there that tries to hide the ball from people who are poor, downtrodden, and taken advantage of. Daryl, how on earth are you going to charge me a year's worth of rent in order for me to file an appeal, and I can't even pay my regular rent? How dumb is that? That's crazy. And we used to be able to file a pauper's oath in order.
Well, you can file a pauper's oath, but you can't file a pauper's oath for the
You
pauper's oath.
can't even do that now.
No, now you can, Jerome.
On an appeal?
Okay, so the appeal has two prongs to it.
Okay.
And that's what the Court of Appeals did when they cleaned this up.
Okay.
The first prong of it is you perfect your 10-day appeal, okay? Which means that if there's any money or any of those types of things, you can contest that. But the second part is you have to get a bond in order to continue to live in the property, because you only get 10 days under the eviction rule. So if you don't put the 10 days, if you don't put the 1 year's bond up,
All right.
right, on this first prong, then what ends up happening is they can't evict you. You will be evicted. But your case is still in the court. You just can't stay in the property. The paying the 1 year is,
Wait a minute.
yeah, most people don't realize that.
I'm confused.
So what ends up
Tell me
happening,
again.
it's a two-pronged bond test.
Okay.
The first prong is perfecting your appeal. That is, so the court maintains jurisdiction of the money damages, whether or not they did something wrong, so on and so forth.
Okay.
The second prong is you have to perfect your right to stay in the premises. Because under the eviction statute, you only are allowed 14 days. So if you want to stay in the premises and the landlord is not penalized, you have to put forward 1 year's rent. That's to keep you in the premises.
Okay.
So, and if you don't pay that one rent, what ends up happening, it used to be your entire appeal got dismissed. The Court of Appeals reversed that.
When did it happen? Just recently?
No, probably 2 or 3 years ago. It used to be if you didn't perfect either one of them, your entire appeal got dismissed.
Yeah, I think it's been changed recently.
No. Trust me, I just went up there on the case.
And that's fine.
You know I'm on top of these
I'm
things.
never going to question whether what you said is accurate or not. So I'm going to go ahead
Well,
and wait.
and so
But we just had a seminar on that recently there.
yeah, so
They
there's a
said
two.
that they changed it. It used to be that it would go up and it'd take 3 or 4 or 5 months before they would figure out whether or not this appeal has been perfected or not. But now you can't even get up. But General Sessions doesn't know that quite yet because the clerks and stuff don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
But so they've just been giving out appeals and it goes upstairs, but it gets sent back down. But anyway, let's move on.
No, because this is important, Jerome.
Okay.
This is important.
Okay, go ahead.
Because what ends up happening is, okay, the law says if you have a general session case, you can appeal it
I see what
de
you're saying.
novo.
They lose jurisdiction.
They lose jurisdiction.
Okay.
They don't lose jurisdiction if you perfect your appeal because
Okay.
it's de novo on the appeal.
I got you. Okay.
But if you want to stay in the premises, you have to perfect your right to stay in the premises
Okay.
too. So it's a two-pronged
I mean,
perfection.
but why would a person want to
Oh,
appeal? Anyway, I'm
see, this is where that gets smart.
Okay.
Okay, you say, Your Honor, he says, well, all I want is possession only.
That's right.
And you say, okay. Then you decide, well, look, I'm gonna fight this mug and I ain't trying to leave. Then you could go file an appeal to to circuit court, and guess what? You don't have to put up 1 year's worth of bond.
Nothing because it only if there is a
Money
judgment.
the money judgment.
That's right.
So now
Right.
you could potentially stay in
right.
this property
That's right.
3, 4, 5 months
That's right.
without paying.
That's right.
If that was your intent.
That's right.
And you didn't have nowhere to go. If they get a money judgment against you, you have to protect.
That's right.
And Jerome, most people don't understand this. If there's a money judgment against you, even in circuit or chancery court, if you want to appeal to the Court of Appeals, you're supposed to put up a bond. Most people don't know that.
Well, I think it's required. You can't even appeal without the bond,
You can.
bond being paid.
No, you can appeal,
Right.
but it
It's
doesn't.
gonna get reversed.
No,
It won't.
it just doesn't stop the execution.
Oh, I see.
So I can start collecting on my
Oh,
money.
I see.
If you want me not to be able to collect on the money, you got to put on the bond.
I see.
And that stays the
I
process.
see. Okay.
That's the difference.
Okay. All right.
So,
and there you're absolutely correct that.
I know them procedures things, man.
No question. I would never ever question whether the procedure that you articulated is correct or not. But I again, General Sessions is probably the first encounter with the system
Yes.
that most people will run into.
Yes.
And so one of the main things to keep in mind is that it can affect you tremendously because the jurisdictional limit is $25,000. And so,
With the exception of FEDs.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's unlimited.
They're unlimited.
But
yeah.
I'm trying to get to the point that, I heard them say prior to the pandemic, there were almost, and I've said it on the show before, 69,000 evictions.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that many.
69 prior to the pandemic.
Okay.
Now, they said the other day, Friday, it's like 29,000 of them now. And so anybody.
Well, that's a substantial. Not why. What's that change?
Well, it's because remember all the money that flooded the community.
Yeah, but
Save
that
those
that
people.
money. But those. Yeah, but it's still.
I'm
yeah.
gonna
Go ahead.
tell you, I'm gonna
Okay.
tell you.
Okay.
So remember prior to the pandemic, when all the money flooded the community, enhanced unemployment, there, people were, and I just told the judges the other day in my meeting, remember prior to the pandemic, the minimum wage was $7.25 per hour.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't even call a person on the phone now for $7.
Well, it's still $7.25.
Ain't nobody gonna work for
Ain't nobody gonna work for it.
Nobody work. And so we found out that it only takes a few more dollars per hour to lift a bunch of people up out of poverty.
Right.
And so when Bruce and Judge Henderson come, we're gonna find out that the poverty rate in Memphis is probably around 16 to 19%.
Yeah.
And that's the same percentage of people who are being evicted. It trails, it follows parallel with the poverty rate is the eviction rate. And so not only do you have 29,000 residents who have been evicted, but how many children there are involved?
Yeah.
And how many mothers, how many single mothers are involved in that? People out on the street. And so this judge saw an issue, took it to the county commissioner, the Sugarman, I think Sugarman. Erica Sugarman, heard her plea and started attending and becoming knowledgeable about it. And she went to the county commission and they got together and they started to fund this program that Judge Henderson.
So the Shelby County Commission did fund it.
That's where I say that with my fingers crossed because I don't know exactly where the funding is coming from, but it has tremendously changed the landscape for landlord-tenant matters. Now, and there's still some more money left for tenants who get into the situation. And then Daryl, we had them at our annual seminar for the bankruptcy section last Friday. I was in Atlanta, but I did it virtually. If all else fails, you still got the silver bullet.
You got that one bullet.
And that's the heart of people helping other people. My livelihood is almost attached to whether somebody else has run into an issue. You see what I'm saying?
No, I get it.
And yours are somewhat too. And so,
we all do survive by. We all live and die by somebody's downfall. Yeah, it's sad, but it's unfortunately true.
But when we do a free a legal clinic, when we go out and help people with wheels up, in some ways we are actually working ourselves out of a job in many cases. But because the need is so great, we have to put ourselves out there and do it.
No, I get that. I mean, and and that's what we got to do, Jerome, and that's why I invited Judge Henderson on.
Oh man!
Because the whole point and the whole problem is knowing.
Yes.
I mean, if you don't know about a program, then you can't use it.
Right.
And if people are not talking about it, nobody's explaining, nobody's letting you know it exists, then you're not going to use it.
That's exactly right. You're sitting there with the doors open and nobody. I remember when I first started, when I first graduated from law school in 1993, and I passed the bar in 1993. I was sitting in my office with. I think I had spent a lot of money for telephone service. Phone would not ring, but fortunately, I was a registered nurse. So I'd sit at the office trying to drum up some business, and if it didn't happen, I'd just go and take me a shift, because I was working with the from the register. And so that's how I survived. And so finally, I started to get built up enough where I could kind of stop working so much in order to do it. But the point is that we're servants.
Now I'm sorry, Jerome. Let me digress, man. You caught me off guard here. So, when you first graduated and passed the bar, there were no jobs for you. You had to come out on your own.
Well, I had to start on my own because I was an older student, and you know when you first started coming, well, actually there were no black law firms for me to go to. Where was I gonna go?
Yeah.
Now you know whatchamacallit did a good job, Mayor Wharton, because he was over legal services, and most of the judges now all worked through legal services before they got a chance to get started. And so there was nowhere for me to go. And I couldn't be a runner. You follow what I'm saying? Because that's what they used to start off as, a runner, back and forth to the courts to get understanding of the court system. So no, I had to hang my shingle out, which is what I really wanted to do anyway, because I had a career, and I just wanted another career. But I'm so excited about where we are now with the job rates.
So you've been on your own basically for 31
for
years.
31 years. That's
Wow.
correct.
Damn.
Look, I took the bite, took the hit. I was feasting sometime, and I was famining a whole lot of times. So we call it feast and famine. But here we are today, and you helped me out a lot, man. Since I had a relationship with you, I started to really know how to make some money. I've made a few dollars by following your lead. So you've been a great example for me, man.
Oh, wow. All right, so I think we're getting close here. So look, want to kind of end with this. Next week, you know, and I think what we'll do is we'll probably do the little things and say something and talk to some people.
Yeah.
But next week, you know, we really want to put some new information out there, some information that hopefully it can be used.
Oh yeah.
I can't tell you how many phone calls or how many times somebody come to my office and say, "Man, I heard this on your show, man. That's why I'm here."
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah.
it's
So people are watching.
people are watching.
Yeah,
people do
are
watch.
watching.
You know, so and they don't call even
But
though it's
they
free.
Don't call.
Even though it's free, they don't call. But you know, we can't have it all, John.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching the show. We'll see you back next week.
Can you actually imagine hosting your next event at the all-new SVP Banquet and Event Center? Yes, spacious, beautiful venue with plenty of parking, located in the heart of East Memphis. Let us host your next intimate birthday gathering, family repast, bachelorette party, wedding and reception, baby shower, corporate meeting, social club event. Call us today. Don't wait. 901-244-6874. The all-new SVP Banquet and Event Center.
You're talking about a good time shield. When we all come on now.
Center Stage Gospel Music live from Memphis, Tennessee, featuring gospel artists from around the world. Toe tapping, hand clapping, down home gospel music. Watch